So, to continue me talking about when I pray to God, I'm reminded of these different stages that He took me through and these prayers that He had answered. And the first one was really Him calling me to be a wife and a mother. And really to be pure, to really pursue His idea of purity. His own purity, because God is purity. He is where we get the idea of purity, and He is pure. And so just really following His example and what He has said in His Word to guide us and to lead us. And a portion of that for me was Him calling me to save my first kiss for my wedding day. That was a barrier that He put up to protect me. And it was up to me whether to listen to it or not. And you know what I did? I took God at His word, and I trusted that He was going to come through for me, that He was going to do what He said He was going to do, and He did. I got married, and I had my first kiss with my husband on my wedding day on the altar. And now we're married, and I have a little baby. And so I'm a wife and a mother now, and God is showing me so much more of Himself. I'm not a perfect person. I didn't get here because of getting a handout from God, or He just chose to bless me. I got here because I trusted Him, because He told me something and I believed Him, and I followed Him through with it. Through the hard times, through people telling me it wasn't going to happen, I stayed the course. And I worked really hard to trust Him, even when I was so doubtful. I asked Him to reveal Himself, and He did. He did. He's amazing, and I took Him at His amazingness. And He came through for me. And He can come through for anybody else, because He's the same God. Same God I serve, same God you serve. Same exact God. He can do the same thing with you. So there's nothing special about me. I'm just trying to follow the Lord. And right now I'm sharing my example of what it means to follow Him, because I want people to know that He does what He says He's going to do. He does it. He is faithful. And if I need to be an open book for people to read so that they understand that, I'll be that. I will be raw. I will share my struggles. I will share whatever I need to bring honor and glory to God and to change your life, because everyone needs to serve Him. Everyone needs to follow Him, because it's amazing. And He does what He says He's going to do. And I'm an example of that. So, the second thing that God did in my life that I'm reminded of when I spend time with Him, and it brings tears to my eyes, because this one was life-altering for me. You think me saving my first kiss for my wedding day was crazy? This moment in my life defined who I am today. There were so many struggles, so many teachings that God brought me through all throughout my life, but this one defined me, changed my life. I studied faith. I studied trusting God. I worked so hard to do it, but I always fell short. I always had this doubt. I didn't know what it was like to have nothing until He brought me to this point. My dad got really sick. My dad had been sick for years and years, and we knew it. We knew he was sick. He had heart failure for years and years, walking around with his heart gradually dying. And it got to the point where he was having mini heart attacks. His lungs were full of 80% fluid. It was time for something to be done. We went through the whole process of waiting for a heart transplant. They gave him a heart pump. He had this internal thing that was pumping his heart for him, basically just keeping his organs alive. It wasn't doing anything for his heart. His heart was still dying. But it was keeping his organs alive so that when he got the heart transplant, that his body wouldn't reject it and his body wouldn't just die, because he needed those other organs in order to adjust to the new heart. So he had this heart pump in him for about a year, and he was on this medication that was actually helping his heart to stay alive and to pump. Otherwise, it was just going to pump less and less and less and less until finally it just stopped. So we were coming to the end of this medication. He only had about 3 months left that he could actually safely be on the medication. They hadn't tested it beyond that. So we were coming to the end of this medication, still waiting for a heart transplant. And it got to the point where my mom and I had to sit down and really discuss what we were going to do if we lost him. If God decided to take Daddy home, which he had the full right to do, because he belongs to the Lord. And if God wanted to do that, then that was the story that God was going to write. But my mom and I had to figure out what we were how we were going to handle it and what we were going to do. So we talked about getting an apartment, both of us working 2 jobs, my little brother going into school or daycare or something, or us altering our schedule so that one of us could be with him in the day and one of us could be with him in the night, sort of thing. So we were planning on what if God decides to take him. So we talked about it and we decided that we were going to be okay. Because no matter what happened, God was still our God. God was still faithful. God was still awesome. God still did miracles. No matter what kind of story he decided to write for this situation, God was still God. And he could do whatever he wanted to. But you know what? We belonged to him too. And we knew he was going to take care of us. So in this time of preparing for whether my dad was going to live or die, I can't really explain what I went through. During the preparations, it was just kind of like survival mode. Okay, so if we lose him, this is what's going to happen. This is how we're going to deal with it. Okay, let's write it down. Okay, we're set with that. But not really knowing, not really facing fully what was going to happen. And I was out with friends, and I get a call from my mom, and she's like, you got to come home. We just got a call for the heart. And so I rushed home to stay with my little brother, and then they left to go to the hospital. And when they left to go to the hospital, I had to pray. Like, I couldn't, it was like this, I went into this whole other place where it was like the only thing I could do was pray. And I wanted to pray, and it was like feeding me. It was like sustaining me. And I was hungry for it. And so I was praying and praying. My mom told me they got there and they were taking my dad back. And I texted her and I said, you know what, Mom? Whatever happens, God's got this. He is covering us right now. He's there with you right now. He's there with Daddy. He's here with me. He's got this. He already had this. He's been powerful the whole time. He's powerful enough to do whatever he wants with this. And I rested in that. I didn't rest in the fact that, oh, God's going to save my dad. God's going to give my dad another day. No, honestly, I didn't care. Because I wanted God's plan. Because I knew that if it was God's plan, he was going to sustain us. His strength was going to be enough. And if it was God's plan, I can do all things with him. Even if he decided to take my dad. Even if I didn't have him anymore, I could do it. Because I was with God. I can do all things with God. That night, when my dad received his heart transplant, when he was in the operating room for hours, I was at home praying. And I learned for the first time in my life what faith really is. It is not circumstantial. It is not just for good things. It is not just when we feel good about something, when we're relieved about something. It isn't just when he answers our prayers for him to heal somebody. No, that's not faith. Faith is believing in God no matter what. Faith makes us sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. We can see somebody getting healed, but if we don't have faith, we really don't believe it. What do we believe in? Strip away everything that you see, everything that you hold of value on this earth. Strip it away, and what are you left with? Are you at peace with that? If God took away everything, would you still be okay? If God took away your mom and your dad and your grandparents, your children, would you still be okay? Can you do all things through Christ? In that moment, before that moment, my answer would be no. I couldn't do all things through Christ. I had doubts. God had told me that he was going to give me a husband and children, but it wasn't happening. So I was kind of doubtful. I had no idea if me saving my first kiss was even worth it. Was I going to remain single for the rest of my life? I had no idea. But in this moment, this life-defining moment for me, that night when my dad received his heart transplant, not knowing if he was going to come through the surgery. Surgery went fine, but he could not wake up. That could happen. He could have died after. His body could have rejected the new heart because it wasn't his. The body could reject the heart and he could die. That was a possibility the doctors told us. I had no idea what was going to happen. But that night, I knew no matter what happened, I was going to be okay. Because all I needed was the Lord. All I needed was God because he was enough. He was the reason I could do this. He was the reason I could do anything. Because he is my strength. And he is where my faith fully rests. It doesn't rest in the people around me. It doesn't rest in my parents. It doesn't rest in my husband. It rests in God. Without that trial, I wouldn't know that today. I wouldn't know the power of my own faith if my dad hadn't gotten sick. Isn't that crazy? God took something that we say in this world is horrible, that we want to be healed from. We don't want to go through anything like that. We want all of the sick to be healed. But if my dad had been healed, I would have never learned that lesson. I would have never known what true faith was. In that moment, I realized I don't need anything but God. I could be single for the rest of my life. I could lose everyone around me. I could be called to another country, go there all by myself. I could become mute. I could become blind. But all I needed was God. I could do anything. I can do all things. I can do hard things. I can do yucky things. I could do painful things through Christ who strengthens me. It isn't just the good stuff. It's the hard stuff. It's the painful stuff. I could have people laugh in my face that I'm saving my first kiss for my wedding day. I could do it because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I could lose my father, my dad, who has always been there for me, been my provider, been the guy that I go to for advice. I could lose him and be okay because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things because it is all about God's strength, not my own. It is all about God's plan and his thoughts and his ways, not my own. Because you know what? My ways fail all the time. In my ways, I would have never known what faith was. If I got what I wanted, I would have never gone through that experience. And I would not be the person I am today. I would not be able to be the wife I am today to my husband. I would not be able to support him and have faith in the Lord and to stand next to him and have the faith for our family and to pray like I do. I would not be able to do that without that trial I went through. I know that. I wasn't even ready. I wasn't ready for my husband before that. I went through a really difficult time. But I can do all things through Christ. I don't know why God chose to give my dad life. But I know he's still here for a reason. He's got work to do. He's got lots of work to do. And so do I. That's why I'm still here. But I can do whatever God wants me to. Because all I need is him. So that's another part of God answering my prayers and changing my life that I get drawn back to when I'm praying to him. And it brings me to tears because so many people don't even know that. They don't know what real faith is. They have no idea that when God answers your prayers, He doesn't answer them the way that you want Him to. He answers them in a perfect way. His perfect way. Because you know what? His thoughts are not even our thoughts. You may think something is awesome. You'd be like, oh, that's a good choice over there. Or that looks really pretty. No. God has something even prettier to give you. You have no idea. You may even say, you know what? That looks really hard over there. I don't think I want to do that. But you know what? Just beyond that hard thing is something awesome that will blow your socks off. His ways are higher than our ways. We think we know everything. We don't. So pray for God to give you real faith. And when you go through the trials, try and think of how awesome He is. The fact that He is still there with you through all those hard things. And you know what? He still has a plan. He still has a plan even though it's hard. It may seem impossible for Him to do anything good out of the situation you're in, but He will. If you're faithful to trust Him to do that. If you're faithful to trust Him, He will be faithful to do it. It's written all in His Word. Philippians 4:12 through 13. Y'all know these verses. I know what it is to be in need. This is Paul talking. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in every situation. Gee, I wonder what it is. Whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. This is the secret he has found, to be content in every single situation. Hungry, fed, poor, rich. Any situation. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That's the secret. It's right there. It's right there. Do you know the secret? Have you applied it to your life? I will be your example. Faith does not come from circumstances. Faith comes by knowing God is stronger than any circumstance. And trusting in that. And knowing that you'll be okay. No matter what. As long as you got Him, you can do anything.